We live.
We are. We are here.
Live, like. Live, like. No. Photo minutes. Thanks. So, we're having this tomorrow?
Oh, that's right.
Date tomorrow.
Date tomorrow.
Date tomorrow.
You can, computer's gone. Here's additional copies of this, thing, and also with the agenda for the
Join us in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
prayer. Dear Father, Lord, I thank you again for an opportunity to sit together. Lord, I pray that you will be with us this year. You will guide us in the decisions made in these meetings, Lord, and that all things that we do, we according to your will. In Jesus' name, pray. Amen. And we will call the meeting to order. Roll call. I'm here, thanks for. How's that? No. Alright, so we're just gonna go through new business stuff that we've got. Fine, so we're all going to Facebook before you can. We can go ahead and propose the yearly meeting schedule. These dates are the third Tuesday of every month, and our new meeting time will take place at 6 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. Just seems to work better for everybody, so that's what we're proposing. So I'll make a motion to adopt this meeting schedule for the year. No, you go right ahead. How you doing, boy?
Really good, sorry, that's
Oh, you're good,
So I was like, go now, a second ago.
but yeah, my dog, we got the GPS collar on her, and it's no, as soon as we get to the house, she wants to leave the house, so I have to go.
Gotcha.
Walk around.
There's no December meeting scheduled.
No, I think we're gonna, something like it. This passes and we're gonna do one, so, there's option like put one in there if we need to at the end of the year. It's just that everyone's usually so busy. Boy, all of us traveling for holidays, the third Tuesday in December would be so close to the holidays. It just makes sense that if we had to have something, if something came up drastic where we needed it in December, we could, but as far as I'm not, after we notice, we.
So it'll be December 15th if you do.
Okay.
Right. Third Tuesday. Oh, just make a note for myself.
And then one thing I was going to suggest for our meetings, we just
boards, Myron has already kind of helpful is setting up at least an email discussion before each meeting, if not setting up an executive session before each meeting, just for us to get together and say, hey, what are we going to do each meeting, anything on our bounce off the meeting, so that if there is any of that, we'll kind of have a chance to discuss it before the meeting.
Yeah, I think we did talk about that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, as long as you're not taking final action or anything like that, we can do email discussion. If we all want to get together, we just have to notice it as an executive session. So we put public notice up and that it's being done pursuant to the statute that allows us to do that. Obviously, it's not a open public meeting for doing that, but we can still have to apply, putting the notice that we are all getting together in the same room for that.
Do you suggest a fixed schedule for when that would occur prior to the meeting?
Whatever works for everybody's schedule.
I think we talked about the Thursday prior, so if anything needed to change on for the meeting, we would have still time to
Plenty
post.
of time to do it, yeah.
That's if everybody's in.
Yeah.
Everybody's available, yeah. And, I mean, it's helped us out a bit in Ohio with the planning stuff, and I've met with other boards before. Obviously, if we don't have just a 2 minute meeting or 2 minute, executives can be typically by phone call or by Zoom or something like that, so that if, we just have to make sure that everybody knows we've actually had that meeting, and we'll find actual taken. And then we discuss the obviously is subject to having to be openly discussed in the public meeting or final votes being taken in the public meeting. My thought was more help you guys with any planning discussions or anything like that.
If we got like a schedule that works for all of us, would we be able to put out like a notice like this for those executives and that would cover those meetings as well?
Yep. So all of them, at one time, if we're gonna do executive session every, if it's the third day or whatever, we just want notice has all of those, put the statute in there, that we do so too.
Yeah.
You know, the plan maybe, maybe looking more at this.
They requested that they do.
Yeah.
So if we did like email discussions, that still count as an executive meeting, should we still need to put out?
No, we're allowed to have one discussion. It's if we're getting together at that point in time, that is a meeting. So we just have to know somebody that yes, we did all get together in some capacity.
Okay.
There wasn't just a written communication.
Excuse me, if you guys want to hold the conversation, you either move to the back of the room or the other side at least. We're recording right there, and then maybe picking up your voices over ours.
Good point, thank
Thanks.
you.
But yeah, we don't have to technically notice every email discussion, it's just basically if we get physically in person or if we do a digital like a Zoom or something that we have to notice that so the public knows, hey, it's not just regular email, they're getting together and talking.
Okay.
But again, there are certain exceptions where we can do that and it'd be just regular like conversations and like we just have to put a notice and we're gonna do those.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of if this meeting can be an email, this meeting should be.
Yeah, that works for us, I think so. Okay, so as far as this goes,
I'll make a motion to approve the projected calendar for the year.
improve what? Improve the projected calendar? Approve, okay. What are we improving?
Well, you could correct my name spell.
Did I spell it wrong?
That's fine.
No, wait.
No, that's me.
Oh, that was actually, that was a mistake.
What did I do?
You left off and then.
Okay.
Oh, should I put one out on the meal?
I'll add that in.
That's it. My entire life, I'm used to it. But I will mention.
All right, so motion to approve that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a second.
I made a motion.
Oh, okay, okay, a second, so take the roll, all in favor? Okay. let you know if this stuff before real quick. Do you got a copy of this one on there?
I think we can do it.
That's what yours. I realize it's.
I can have that.
Okay.
Same thing.
So the, so the top three on that notice or on this new business pretty much kind of fall into you and other things that, as far as updates on like the ordinances that we talked about in the last year, health and safety ordinances we're looking into. I didn't know if there was something, if there was anything that we needed to do regarding those, or what we were looking at on those.
For which ones now?
For just the ordinances that we were kind of looking at.
So I'm still working my way through those boxes that I took to look
Okay.
at. So my intent was, quite candidly, I murder trial coming up. February, it's been eating a whole lot of my time. So my intent was after I get through this murder trial, get a summer presentation put together for you guys, either for the February or March meeting, of
Okay.
what the status of all those ordinances is, update you guys of that. So I would like to propose that we keep that on the agenda for February, so that I can just update you guys on where we're at in that process. If Brett present it to you in February, great. If not, then we can just take a look roll with March at that one. I'm prepared to present it. Just kind of depends on if I can fit it in with Brett for this trial.
Okay.
It's a candidate, it's a 2-week murder trial, so it's a lot of work I got going on. So if I can get that in time for us to do, great. But if not, worst case scenario, I can present that to you.
Yeah, that's fine. I know it'll take, I figured it's gonna take time to go through those boxes, so. And then I was wondering about that, the opioid settlement. I've been told that we should have received money from that, and we didn't from the county, and I don't know if we need to go to if there's anything that we need to do as far as that goes.
So I would say start with following up with the commissioners on that, and just seeing if they have designated a particular agency to be responsible for distributing opioid settlement funds that are given down in the counties. Like I know in Floyd County that they designated our JRAC was responsible for all of the opioid distribution, and so that's who ended up deciding which municipalities or which nonprofits are getting all the opioid settlement money. So check the commissioners, see are they handling themselves, did they get to their local JRAC, did they go to the select board? Let's kind of start the discussion there and see who the correct agency is being talked with. Once we know that, yeah, then at that point in time, and say, are we gonna get a chunk of this, how much, is there a process we can go through to finalize and formalize it?
And would there be a reason that other towns in the area are getting it and they're not?
There should be, I mean, if it's going out to other towns in a set chunk, fair reason that we ought to be getting it. I can see the confusion over the fact that it exists for half of the year, possibly being a factor of, obviously that causes confusion on other things.
Yeah.
But realistically, that's not a legal basis for us if every other town is getting it, we should be in our fair share.
How often is that paid out? Is that once annually?
I think the AG pays that down to the municipal, it usually comes into itself to the attorney general, so they distribute it to the counties, and then it's up to the counties to decide how they distribute it out from there. And I think they distribute that on an annual basis.
Yeah, because she had me fill out I spoke to the auditor's office and they had me fill out that paper. But they told me to put all zeros on it. So, because she told me that's what she had done the previous year for us. So when she had me fill it out, she just told me that's how I filled it out, that we wouldn't get anything money anyway, so.
Gotcha. Well, and I mean, that's the thing, is a lot of, some places are only doling it out to like treatment providers and things like that, is how some of the municipalities do it.
Okay.
And in Floyd County, that's how our JRACs are, that's things they're putting directly to treatment providers, not getting it to government agencies. So Life Springs thing, ACP's getting it, the Baptist Health is getting it. But I think there are other municipalities that are giving it to towns, townships for some of their areas. So it's worth us figuring out if Harrison County is doling it out to government entities, we should make sure we are fair share.
Okay, sounds good. And then, question about, I don't know, we can go skip that one, because we kind of discussed it already with you. The election.
Yeah, and I, in fact, I was talking to somebody about that on the way in here at the end, so just to make sure that's clear, and I guess we can discuss it for the public's benefit as well. So when, y'all know, we had litigation that it took to get the Hardinsburg, the town of Hardinsburg kind of re-recognized by law and undo everything that the county had done. As part of that settlement, the contemplation was that Hardinsburg's elections would get moved from the odd number of years that municipalities are typically on into even number of years, typically with more people showing up to vote. That had been discussed throughout the life of that litigation, going on for many years. The problem is, by statute, municipalities are only allowed to take the vote to do that the year before their next municipal election, and then it doesn't take effect until after that municipal election. So our next municipal election is scheduled for 2027, that means we can't even take the vote to do that until 2026, and then it would be that when you guys vote in 2027, instead of being elected to 4-year terms, they would decide are they elected to 1-year terms and vote on the 2028 ballot, or are they elected to 3-year terms and vote on the 2030. And that's how they would then become put on even number of cycles going forward. So the settlement agreement says, well, we want you to pass in time for the 2026 election, but that doesn't apply with the statute. And so I tried to explain to the county clerk, it doesn't really matter what the settlement agreement says at the end of the day, if it doesn't comply with the statute. You can't contract to do something that's illegal. It's about as effective as contracting down to drag one of you out in the street and beat you to death. And I can't contract to do that because the statute says I can't do that. That's what we've been dealing with, is kind of having those conversations with the clerk to clarify that. There may end up being a hearing in front of Judge Howell to have him clarify that, of course, he doesn't have the authority to order something that's illegal. I feel very confident that Judge Howell would say that, because I've heard those words come out of virtually every judge's mouth on issues like this all the time. We'll cross that bridge. But that's kind of what that issue is and why it was on the agenda for tonight, was because that's kind of a conversation with the clerks. And I think we discussed it at the last meeting we had. The intent is to, at the first available opportunity, get those elections synchronized to an even number of year, if that's what's working out best for the town. It may be something y'all want to discuss going forward, because candidly, that is what the agreement calls for right now. If there are different commissioners in Harrison County in the future, Washington. Sorry, I've got all my right after this, and they are more trouble than you guys are, so they're much more on my mind. It may be worth, once there's a commissioner's election and seeing who comes out of that, they may decide that they're comfortable taking your guys' election and modifying that agreement. And if y'all decide y'all don't want to move to even number of years, that could always be something you can revisit. For right now, that's what the agreement says, so somewhere in 2026, you guys are going to need to adopt an ordinance to move the elections to even number of years, figure out if you want everybody in the same cycle or not. We got to the end of the year to pass that ordinance. Clearly, right?
Better than one walking here. All right, thank you, update.
I got this, and then I got the statement. This kind of outlines just, income and expenses of our, since we started. And then I have, We'll start reviewing for 500 each in September. In September.
September, 500 each. And then. Something got 1,500.
Yeah.
One was 1,500 and one was 500. Right, that's all we got, 500, 1,500.
That's the only thing that I noticed that isn't on there.
I mean, that's not like, this is just to, I just put that just to put, like, so we can see what our
See
expenses,
what our
yeah,
expenses
it's
were
not,
and then like an update
But I
on
mean,
the
yes,
actual balance.
that
But
was-
she's got all the,
the
she's got all the
statements.
statements from the bank, and I looked at those.
I trust our bank.
Where'd I approve this?
Uh,
Do I need to approve this? Approve anything about the bank?
No, so the only time we approve is if we have expenses that are outside the normal.
Outside the normal, yeah.
We already redo,
Yeah, we already agreed on one of
we
these.
normally refer.
Okay, that's good, and then, meeting minutes, we just need to review and approve past meeting minutes.
That's what we have approved.
Okay. Board meeting minutes. Second. Take it to a vote, all in favor, aye? Aye. Okay, and then, I've got on here approximate mowing start schedule. I know that's kind of spring, yeah, I know. I'm just trying to figure out as far as like getting a hold of him and kind of getting on board with him so we don't have expenses come up in the month where we're like, oh, well, we didn't realize we were gonna start yet, so I don't know if that's something we need to get on board with him.
He said that, just to call whenever we want, and he said even if we feel like, he's not gonna like hold us to every meeting every 2 weeks, he said if we feel like we can wait, he'll
Okay,
hold
so
off.
They'll just
Very
go,
flexible
well,
with
based
us.
on our scheduling,
Yeah.
so, okay, well, that makes sense.
But I think for our, budget forecast, when we did the contract, we anticipated that it would be April.
April, okay. So,
Just for,
maybe, probably 26 degrees or something.
And just to be clear on that for you guys, if we have one of those dry spells that sometimes get around here, and it's not growing such that it's, we're gonna hold off on that for y'all, and not
So, this one kind of falls on you, Clerk. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but in correspondence with DOGF, as far as some of our budgeting stuff goes, they are wanting us to have an itemized breakdown of the funds that the county took from us.
Well, and I was gonna say, Larry and I talked, before I got here, and I know Larry Sickles has been having some conversations with DLGF on our behalf.
Okay.
So that we don't have to try to reinvent the wheel. Larry, you wanna kind of update us on that?
So, that's accurate, we're gonna have to go back and look at what money the county took, because they kept it as one lump sum, so they're keeping it separated based upon general fund, local industry, et cetera. And then we're gonna have to take all of their invoices and apply them back to figure out how much money is left in this account. The other situation that you have is that, you couldn't get your budget done in time this year to meet all the guidelines, because the county turned in the assessed values and the miscellaneous revenues based upon Hardinsburg not existing. The state sent it back, they had to redo it, and then when they redid it, we were past the deadline. So what they did is they approved your budget for 2026 based upon what the 2020, your last budget, which was 2023. So you'll have to go in and do additional appropriations, because what's gonna happen is your local road street and those different funds, as you get those, they won't be appropriated, so you'll have to do additionals on that. What you won't get is the benefit of your assessed value increase, because it's gonna be based on 2023. However, your 2027 budget, they're gonna go back and calculate your 24, and then they're gonna recalculate your 25, so that by the time you do your 27, you'll get there. So, he texted later this afternoon, so I've got to get back with him. I'm gonna go to Indianapolis, have a meeting up there anyway. It's so hard to do this on the phone, and so I'm gonna stop by, visit with them, and try to set that and figure that out, so that you all know where you're at, for 2026. And then, in the meantime, the auditors, we're gonna go back to the auditor's office. We need the actual invoices of what was paid in 23 and 24 in order to have the numbers that they need to get your funds straightened out. So hopefully we can get that done by the end of February and get that in place, which will tell you what you've got in each one of those funds. And then what we won't know is your miscellaneous revenue, so like building and this or those kinds of things, and we'll have to plug that in. And then you'll just have to go back and do additional appropriations based upon what those anticipated revenues will be. Which is not that hard, just you gotta public notice it and go through the process. But that will get you back on track for 27. You're doing something that nobody's ever done since the beginning, so whether it's the DLGF or et cetera, so everybody's still learning at this point. The county getting those numbers wrong really matched you all up in 2026. So that's been a big challenge.
When is your meeting in Indianapolis?
I don't know yet, I haven't told him, because I've got another meeting that I'm going to, and I'm just tag teaming this off. He wants to meet one day next week to go through those numbers and what that process is. Once I talk to them tomorrow, I'll probably cut that.
Would it be beneficial for one of the board members to attend?
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad for somebody to get this, so.
Clerk treasurer, if available, and if not,
Yeah.
maybe somebody else would be available.
You
You
know,
just got on the floor. So what I also committed to Larry was that I will follow up with him after that trial of mine, when I'm a little bit clearer headed on this.
Sure.
And that way he and I can kind of touch base on where everything is in the process, make sure I've got a good clear sense of it, because to his point, until we get to 2027, I think we're in much clearer waters and everything. It's getting us to there because we are in extremely uncharted territory right now with how everything has gotten us here. So I want to make sure I've got a clear sense of what the LGS position on everything is, of what they've got, what they don't have, what we might be able to get, what fights we might be in for with the county over the next couple of months to try to get them what they need. And quite frankly, whether or not we may need to go back and see what Judge Houch may be willing to order, Because there is some of that he may be able to order treated as if X had happened in the past.
Sure.
He has some leeway to do some of that in light of how the litigation goes. There are certain things he can't just order us to violate the law, but he can say, hey, because we're acting as if this never happened to begin with, DLGF, I want you to act as if a valid budget had been submitted to you. Now, obviously, we have to figure out what those numbers would look like, and that might require a lot of back work. But that, if that's to the town's benefit, ultimately, we may seek that order from Judge Houch. So it's gonna be me getting caught up with what DLGF's thoughts are. I think it is very beneficial for you guys to be present, because I don't vote on anything that day. My job is just to give you this advice I need. And I'll get that update from Larry, get the speeds of it, February, March, get all this as untangled as we possibly can. And again, the good news is, we basically just have to get through to 27. Once we get to 27, we get all of those increases appropriately. We get to basically get back to a normal budgeting process.
Okay. Will you shoot me in dates when you figure out what it is?
Yeah, I should know tomorrow, because it's depending on, like I said, I'm going up for other meetings, so it's depending on when that meeting gets set.
Okay, great. And I have another question regarding this. So as far as, I know, housing and all of it's kind of right here in our county, but as far as like state board accounts and DLGF and all that goes, like if they spend money out of these funds that weren't appropriated for those types of spendings, who's gonna catch the backlash of either having to reimburse the town for that money that was spent out of funds that wasn't supposed to be spent out of, or?
That's a hard question to answer right now. The short answer I would give you as town attorney is that's gonna be a conversation I'm gonna have with the commissioners and council and say, hey, this was very clearly under your jurisdiction during those years, and it's determined that money was spent that shouldn't have been spent or was spent inconsistent with obligations, then the county in some way, shape, or manner owes it to reimburse us so that our accounts are effectively put back to where they would have been in 2025 had none of this ever happened to begin with, and it's still appropriate.
That's all I was wondering. I just didn't know if they look at that or they audit those accounts once they separate everything, like is Hardinsburg gonna fall under any type of, legal trouble from the state?
So the state board of accounts will audit.
Yeah.
When they audit you, they're gonna audit it from the perspective that that money was controlled by the county up until the point you got it back. And you documented that even when you got it back, you didn't get sufficient information to be able to take that and do anything with it. So, like Coy said, once we figure out where those really lay, then you'll have to figure, then at that point, you'll have to be a discussion with the county. And keep in mind, the lawsuit to restore Hardinsburg was an agreement between the Hardinsburg PAC and the Hardinsburg Town Board, so there's two different entities.
So it may require additional, there's a legal process for doing what's called a successor in interest to basically replace the PAC with the town of Hardinsburg, because now that the town has been recreated by virtue of all of that court's orders, the PAC would no longer really needs to be litigated, it would need to be the town, and so we could either substitute ourselves in the existing case and say, hey, this all flows out of that judgment, or just file a new suit in the name of the town, if it were to come to that. Again, ideally, we start with just saying, hey, you're our neighbors, let's talk and see if we can work this out.
So in all of that, the town should have a responsibility to get the account from the county auditor and go through the itemized list. Is that not true, or somebody else is gonna do that on our behalf?
Town, so I'm gonna give you guys the list of what we need. You'll have to ask the county for that. And then once we get that, we can sit down and then kind of plot that out.
Do our own audit? Do our own audit?
Yeah, well, and you can have future ledger back in order. So I suspect based upon the expenses that were made during that interim, you're gonna have some funds that are gonna be short because there's things that were spent, at least on the preliminary list that I saw, that are not gonna fit the equipment. So surveys, water meters, a lot of that stuff that took place were paid out of local road and street. So it's like, that doesn't qualify as local road and street expense. So I think that'll probably be an issue that Coy will have to address once we have that stuff. If you remember, we looked at that great big quote. We gotta go back and recreate that for 4 and 25.
based on the information the county gives.
Yeah.
And as I recall, one of the issues prior to me getting into litigation, when Heather was running with it, was repeatedly told by the county that they didn't have some of the records, which made it difficult to really ascertain what was even happening when the county was running Hardinsburg business. So that's the other thing we need to make sure is as we're making the requests, if we're getting told we don't have it, what agencies are we working with, that if they're third parties, then we can attempt to get that information from as best as humanly possible. We're going to need to reconstruct that record as much as we can. Because at the end of the day, to Larry's point, yes, the town of Hardinsburg, whose name is going to be that SBOA, on the SBOA audit, and who's ultimately responsible for getting the house in order, but are we going to be able to say, hey, the 3 of you, the 4 of you with Alex, are not ultimately who bears the responsibility for it in terms of you were in charge? Absolutely, we're going to be able to kind of clarify that. It's already kind of known out there.
Okay. And then we need to try to figure out getting the ledger ordered. We got the book, but we don't have any blank pages for that ledger anymore.
Yeah, we probably ought to do that over the weekend, especially if it's the last season. Next week's gonna happen, we're gonna get that done before Monday.
Okay, so we need to get that, so I'm gonna go ahead and motion that whatever cost is, that it's spent to go ahead and get that ledger book in order.
Onward. In order.
Well, we gotta order the.
Both, you gotta do both.
Gotta get it ordered and get it in order. So,
The expenses to order the ledger book.
so, well, we got the book, so we don't have to spend that much, but we'll just have to get more pages for it, so. Make a motion to go ahead and approve that expenditure.
Again, what's the expense?
They're about $250
For the book.
for the book.
We have the book, but I think
The pages.
all the pages, the fillers,
It's
are gonna
the pages.
be, yeah, it's the, that's what.
Should be, I think probably the way we word this is up to $500.
Okay.
So the pages.
I second the motion of $500 for the ledger book.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's passed. Okay, and then this letter you came to the fire department. Did you get that? Did you get a copy of that?
I did not
Did
know.
you have that? Did you have a copy of that? We can forward it to you, but my phone was never recorded.
Yeah, so if you want to forward that to me, I can take a look at it after the meeting and see if it's something, whether it's something we can straighten out pretty quickly, because I would need to see what it
It
is.
says our budget was enough for everything.
It's probably been tied into all of this DLGF stuff then, if that's the issue.
It says because we didn't have a fire department, it's fire EMS, and it says that's the reason. we put
That
it
same
in.
line that was on the DLGF thing that Hank sent out?
That's exactly what you're talking about. And you do have it in your email.
Okay, yeah, I did get that, okay, so I did, Hank texted that down.
Based on the abstract that I saw, now I'll have to look at it again because I just need it. The fire rate for Hardinsburg was in the township. It was not
Yes.
on the town.
Yeah.
So you can't pay for both. It's either a township or a town. Charge the folks of Hardinsburg 2 times, you gotta pay.
Right.
And I spoke to a member of the fire department's board, and we did that contract with the fire department representatives here. We signed that contract.
So what we did was they needed, so you know the section of statute that deals with their providing coverage in a locality, they need a contract with a specific locality to cover, to be able to get their volunteers the insurance coverage. So we did that with the understanding that, hey, because Posey Township is collecting the tax right now, we're gonna need to work out that in a local, if you actually want to be paid directly by us under this contract, where Posey Township submits what it collects to us to be able to pay. Because otherwise, you're just gonna get paid by Posey Township, we're not gonna get it. And so, I told us that we were gonna have to work with that contract, because you're not, like, to your point, we can't double tax the residents. And so we have not heard back from Posey Township, I think, I tried to call them twice, but I told us that this is not, but the important thing is you have a contract in place with an understanding that you're not getting paid twice.
At least the way I look at it, and I'll probably do a look at it better, it looked like Posey Township still had a rate on the town.
Yeah, which if that's the case, then technically, yeah, we don't need our fire rate for that, but they should still be covered because again, the contract covers and says, yes, you're providing it here, you're gonna get paid, you're just not getting paid directly by us, you're getting paid by Posey Township until we have a local in place that Posey Township could remit that money back to us and pay you to the extent that that's really even necessary. If everybody's fine with just Posey Township collecting and paying directly, we're done.
So as far as the fire contract goes, I thought we did not sign a contract because you were gonna close the term.
Right, yeah.
Instead of being open-ended.
And that's exactly kind of what we're discussing here. They needed that solely for insurance purposes, was how they had kind of parlayed it to us, was they needed to give their volunteers their insurance. So if they are saying they need us to sign something, but I mean, that's not a DLGF issue for us to get a fire rate. It's related issues, but not the same issue. So from a volunteer fire perspective, they need a contract to make sure their members get their insurance. We'll get them that as soon as there's language cleaned up that it clarifies you're only getting paid by one entity, and we just need to know from Posey Township, is Posey Township intend to continue collecting that tax themselves, or are they gonna remove the Hardinsburg tax, have us collect it, or are they gonna continue collecting it and remit it to somebody? It's one of those options, but
Yeah.
clear, and then we need it spelled out in the contract, correct? Because if we don't need a contract out there that ostensibly puts us on the hook to pay for it twice, because we can't tax our residents for this.
Yeah, and that's what I think we talked about, because we don't have the ability to put that tax rate in this year anyway, so.
Yeah.
Posey would have to, even if we sign a contract, we'd have to have something in place where the township's still gonna cover that, because we're paying taxes to them to cover it.
Exactly, so either the contract has to very clearly say this is paid by way of tax are collected by Posey Township, or we have to have a local that we are paying it only after Posey remits it to us. It's one or the other. But again, that was a concern that I had the night they presented it to us with the contract they had, just effectively said the town's on the hook for this, and if we signed it, and then we're not paying them, and they're gonna be paying Posey, they can theoretically sue us for future contract, which,
So the thing they specify exactly is that an annual fire and EMS contract affirmation and gateway file transmission application. So that's basically just saying we have to go in and affirm that we have a contract, and that wasn't done, because probably we didn't have the contract at the time.
yeah, but I mean, but to that point, we are covered by virtue of their providing coverage within Posey Township at this point.
From the township.
Correct. So, yeah.
So we could do that affirmation now,
Correct.
because we do have coverage.
Yes.
And the other thing that bothered me is what are they talking about when they reference the property taxes were restricted to the prior year total because of improper advertising?
I have no idea what that's about, Larry, any idea?
So what they're referring to is that you couldn't advertise your budget because you didn't have the levies.
No, it's talking about advertising the budget.
So that's going back to the issue you're discussing, that we didn't have a previous one of the auditor.
So all those things are gonna be cleared up at some point.
Yeah, it won't fix 26. Fix
Yeah,
27, what you got.
Well, we'll just go back to the budget that was approved for 23, and we're covered for this year, and then come 27, all these issues will have taken care
Should
of.
be clean budget. And you'll still, like I said, you'll still get your local road and street and all that is not based on budget, it's based upon collections, and so the county should still be sending you local road and street, I think you get the drug, some of the drug rehabilitation, you get some of that.
Opioid?
Yeah, the opioid settlement.
That's what we were discussing, they were asking who, and I just know in Harrison, in Washington County, are the commissioners handling that directly, and they delegated that to JRAC, or who they made kind of the settlement responsible. And so I told them, I said, get the commissioners, see who they made, or they don't live out themselves, or they delegate the responsibility of that to somebody else, to figure out how to get our pieces of that.
Do they back pay for all these mistakes?
They could, is the short answer. If it's determined that in fact there were mistakes made, then yes, they should say, hey, you should be getting this from the state to this date and reimburse.
Because that money should be sitting somewhere.
Yes, because at the end of the day, let's say, just as one example, the yoga itself. If we should have been getting money for 6 months that we didn't get, then that money should have been sitting in the bank account somewhere, it shouldn't have been distributed to anybody else, because it should have been earmarked for us. So at some point, we should get all the money we were entitled to. And if we don't, that's a problem, and that would be where those conversations with commissioners happen, and then if those don't go well, then those other avenues get explored.
Yeah.
And then you should be eligible now for community crossings. And you being the size of this town, community crossing should be easy for you, that's, community crossing is paying money for your streets and stuff.
Okay.
So, I can't remember when the next round is, I wanna say it's, maybe in May, but we'll find out, so you should submit a community crossing grant to do any kind of, I mean, I don't know what we need, whether it's
I
called.
feel like we discussed that.
Yeah.
Culverts, community culverts, good, and then, so do they cover sidewalks and all that too, or is that just for like
It can.
road?
You can cover sidewalks, but it's gonna be harder, because it's more competitive than it used to be, especially since this new 701. So, probably will focus initially on paving and asphalt road repairs.
Wayne, can I shed some light on that fire department thing?
Can I get, will you let me get through the rest of this and then we'll get back to the other comment part? I'm introducing you again.
Oh, great.
So, we, Hardinsburg, some members, some community members, have,
Community Foundation.
yeah, residents have created a nonprofit here in Hardinsburg that, well, I'll stop there. So, floor is yours.
I don't know, we've been posting about it online, how to become a member, what the membership fees are, what we're trying to do fundraising and whatnot. I don't know if you've seen them. We're still taking memberships. You know anything? But our goals are to help sports town and get those things done that they can't get done. Fix buildings, ball fields, help community members.
And with a nonprofit in place, they can apply for certain grants that we as a town are not able to, so that also falls back on helping us to help the community, so.
And we're starting, different tiers underneath our foundation. We want to have different committees for commerce, senior citizens, youth, public information, parks and rec, different, so people get together, trying to get more community involved. So we can get more people out, we can get more done. We can support more people, so we need to get the word out about that. So if you have any questions about that, let us know. If you want to join, I have membership forms too.
I'll join and I have an idea for fundraiser.
Perfect.
And then we also passed, town breakfast responsibilities will now be taken
Yeah.
over by the HCF, and those days are gonna be the third
Thursday.
Third.
I mean Saturday.
Third Saturday.
I got Thursdays in there. Yeah, the third Saturdays, we've been doing them this year, so we've taken that over.
And that is open to everyone?
Open to everyone,
$5
and it's
a plate.
$5. And we've had, this last weekend, we had, the general store, they donated cinnamon rolls for our breakfast too. And we're gonna try not to do the same breakfast every week, so I think the next one's gonna have pancakes also, and not, maybe not biscuits and gravy, I don't know, we're just gonna switch it up, so it's not always the same. And folks are welcome to come and gather and stay, and it's not an in and out kind of breakfast, you can stay as long as you want.
Or you can't, in and out.
Or you, oh, grab to go, yeah. During hunting season, there was people coming in making plates to go, because they were going out in their blinds and eating. So we had a few people do that too. So we're talking, we make breakfast burritos, you know, the next hunting season. So you guys can come grab and go, so.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll come grab it for you. And then, it's not on here, I forgot to put it on here, but you just remind me of it. So as far as like our town events that we put on every month, I think we'll probably do an update on maybe scheduling for those, maybe at the next meeting. Just gonna continue to do those, talk about our town.
We can get together and make decisions.
Yeah. So, we should have an update on that sometime for you here.
Excuse me, Miss, I have a question. On your foundation, do you have a website, or how can I find you?
Yes, we do. Hardinsburg Community Foundation.
That's on
Facebook?
Do Facebook.
so it's on Facebook, is what you're saying? And it's Hardinsburg Community Foundation?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm on it, it works.
And if there's a link on there, and then anyone that's on this live video right here, I will post a link to that Facebook page in the comment section of this video, so people can access it from there.
Well, that's big.
Does that work? Okay, I think as far as new business goes, that's all. Whatever you got that covered, it looks like a lot, so.
Can I say one thing before we get to so I did chat with DNR in reference to your parks, and there is an outdoor rec fund that's available. There's a substantial amount in it, a lot of times there's a claim. Essentially, to do that, you will have to, this is a point, to be eligible, you have to have a parks board. So you would have to establish an ordinance, create a parks board, you would get your comprehensive plan done. That is not that hard to get. It's the match money that you gotta come up with. A local community can get up to $1 billion, and you don't need $1 million, but, you know, if you needed $50,000, you can get over 25, and again, a lot of times it's something that goes unused. Or they end up converting into stuff that's not enough people to apply for. So it's federal money that comes from oil drilling, and they set it aside for this, but most parts, that's how they start them. So you all will be eligible. That application is due in, I think it's October, but we need to get your comprehensive plan done pretty quick, because I can't remember the deadline that's coming up this spring. But you have to have the board established first. And so I've got all the details for that, but if you could get in for this grant round, that would give you the funds in place to do construction in 27 on your ball fields and your other parks.
And you said we need a park board in place, and then was there something else we
To
need?
be eligible, you have to have a parks board.
And
And so that's an ordinance that you have to go through. That also lets you create a park fund specifically. And then you can apply for, that's not the only one, but that's the big one. There's just a lot of money comes into that. In a local community like this, it's gonna look totally different. I mean, it's too easy for them to look at this and say, this is a good project for us.
So, typically speaking, whenever we create any of those boards that we're allowed to create like that, there's not, you can open them up to other members of the community on those boards, if that's how you want to write ordinances, how most towns do it, is because it's hard to get people to want to do stuff like that. And to streamline operations, if you just, you put yourselves on there, unless you just got a citizen that's just super eager about that particular project. And so, and then it allows you to streamline it, because you can set those board meetings with the same nights as your town board meeting. You do have to be diligent about making sure we're on now for the town board meeting, we're during the town board meeting, now we're going into the parks board meeting. During the parks board meeting, now we're going into the safety board meeting. During the safety board meeting, going into the next board meeting. So we have to be diligent about, you can't combine them all, and you gotta make sure you know what hat you're wearing while you're talking. But you absolutely can do that kind of stuff. Comprehensive plan, is that necessary to apply for the grants, or is it just?
So they have a comprehensive 6-year plan. It's a specific park and rec plan.
Okay.
And I can take you through that. So that's not hard. We just have to have a couple meetings here.
I was just saying, I assume that typically with most of those that I've ever seen in the past, there's kind of a model and they can be pretty quickly adopted for small towns, so.
I'll do that for you. I don't need to.
So we're gonna set some dates for that, where we'll get together, and then that way we can put notice out.
So what
Once you establish your park board, then we can start setting hearings, because you have to have public hearings for those public meetings for your board.
So what I'm gonna do is, I'm putting this on my action item from tonight, is to prepare an ordinance for the creation of the parks department and check the statute just to see if prior to that ordinance, if we need a public hearing to create the parks board or not. So that I can map out the timeline for you guys if I'm really get that ordinance passed. And then I will follow up with an email on that for everybody, so that we can have the order of operations.
What grade did you say it was that was due in the deadline was, what is it?
It's the outdoor rec.
Oh, okay.
And I guess like just creating the park board, it can wait till our meeting in February, or do we need to get that in line? Like,
I think there's access
hearing, and then we can't vote until after that. We're
Okay.
actually creating it, so let me double check the statute. I'll get the ordinance drafted, and then I'll update you guys by email on whether or not February is when you do it and vote, or whether February is just when you do it with a public hearing.
Okay.
But then have to defer the vote for like 2 weeks or something like that. And if it's one where we have to do a separate public hearing for the vote, we could either defer it to the March regular meeting, or if it's something we have to defer for a couple of weeks, we could always set a special meeting for the purpose of holding the vote to establish the board,
Okay.
if that's what you want.
Yeah, that sounds good. You?
So I've been doing some research on doing a comprehensive master plan for Hardinsburg, and I've reached out to several people, companies that I found on the APA consultant list, and I've heard back from one that I've been talking to, I think it was Watkins, and they're interested. They found a grant that we can use, but there is an 8% matching for a $50,000 grant, so they're looking for a commitment of $4,000 from us to get going on that. They're still looking into whether the median income limits exist, and if we have to meet those in order to qualify for that grant. But I've looked into it, and I don't think there are median income limits, but it is an open grant. Like I said, it's $50,000, $4,000 would be the match. And then just this past Monday, I heard from another company, who deferred us to an engineering firm that did Harrison County's master plan, and I've only recently been in conversations with them. They're very interested in it as well. So we have a couple of people out there that are willing to help us develop our master plan. Give me a second. MKSK is the one who referred us to, let me see. Well, I'll get to that information. I can't seem to find it right now. But it's an engineering firm that, like I said, did Harrison County's master plan. And basically, I want to reach out to the county, because what they did in Harrison County is they did a master plan for all 10 towns within the county. And then all 10 towns did their master plan off of that. So Washington County, I mean, we said, I think we, for some reason, hesitate reaching out to the county for support. I don't know what's behind that, but I think we need to change it. And if we can get the county to support us better, like other counties are supporting their towns, I think we need to look into that. So for our master plan, maybe the county or the other foundations that support these plans can help us out with developing our master plan. So it's just something we're working on. It's not gonna happen anytime soon. These things take time, and once we get a couple of solid options, then we'll have a vote and see which route we're gonna go. But I just wanted to give an update on that. I think our master plan is the first for many things to come. It's a requirement to apply for other grants. So, and having a nonprofit to support us is also wonderful, because it's also a requirement for other grants to have a nonprofit, like the Main Street America and other opportunities out there. So really looking forward to working with a nonprofit for all those tax-free deductions, tax-free donations, and all the people that are going to support Hardinsburg. The other thing I wanted to bring up was the T-Mobile grant that was due by December 31st. We did apply for that. We met the deadline, and the results of that should come out mid-March. So, and the last thing I'll mention is it's a new quarter, which means there's new grant opportunities available for the Walmart Start Good grants. And we should probably not wait till the end of the quarter to apply, although they do usually wait towards the end of the quarter to make their decisions. The sooner we get in there, I think the better it is. So the opportunity there is for up to $25,000 through Walmart, with the 4 Sam's Clubs and the 4 Walmarts and 1 Sam's Club that are in our area.
Okay, what kind of, I guess we would need a discussion on what kind of projects we would like to see done with the Walmart.
I have no suggestions.
Which we have, I mean, there's a lot of things.
There are a lot.
Well, that's not a better idea of what you can use it for.
it's anything that would benefit the community, basically, isn't it? So like, if we needed like chalk machines for our ball field, or we needed a snow cone machine, I don't know.
Anything that is to benefit the community as a whole. It's not restricted to one group over another based on all the other categories. We don't discriminate. It's open to everybody. It's accessible, which is something else we need to start making sure we do in all of our programs. Make sure that they're accessible. And really the sky's the limit.
Like accessible, like everyone. As far as that goes, so if we wanted to go ahead and get those applications out there, can you use a description as for like, this grant's gonna be used for, I don't know, hard equipment, or does it have to be like itemized, like you have to give specifics on what exactly you're gonna buy, or can it be something that's general like that, like park equipment, new park equipment for the children of the community, or?
They're relatively flexible. You can be generalized, and if they need more information to get specific, they'll coordinate with us.
Okay,
If we get too specific, it narrows what we're able to do, and we have to go back and ask them for an exception to use the funds somewhere else.
okay,
So somewhere in the middle on specificity is where we want to be.
okay, so how would everybody feel about, if we go ahead and put those out there as far as like just a general use, like for the community, like park equipment,
What I'd like to see is you do a survey on Facebook, do a poll on Facebook,
okay,
because it seems like Facebook is the most common tool where we're able to get out to our community. I don't know how else to reach our community, because they're not showing up here. So I think we're doing a good job, because nobody's here complaining, but also we want to reach the people that, how else do we reach them?
and we haven't got the public comment yet, right?
So, I think a Facebook poll on some of these things would be a good place to start. See what kind of participation we get, some kind of, engagement.
So you want to table that motion for approving?
No, I think we want to make a motion that we do a Facebook poll.
Yeah, I think the poll, yeah, do that, but I was saying, did you want a motion to just table it until next month, once we have that poll in place to, no, I'm saying, once we have the poll results to vote on applying for those grants,
No, I think we vote on it now that we're gonna apply for the Star Food grants for the quarter,
based on what you're.
Based on
the poll.
using the results of the poll as our foundation. What we're gonna submit for.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Take the vote, all in favor, aye? Aye.
Okay. Now.
So, they-
Too soon, but my question is like, we need polls, we're gonna have certain things, because we need certain things to list in the poll.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put things
And,
in
or
the
are we just
poll.
gonna let someone say, I think you need, I don't know, 20 toilets, like, I mean, so I think we need to be.
There can always be another.
And I would recommend that we do that, so that people can add their own poll option. You know what I mean? We're gonna start out with, ball
So does that
field.
say, like, do we get the vote at the end?
Well, we got the
Oh,
ultimate
okay.
say on what we're
So
gonna.
we're not gonna be like the
what
highest,
We want,
you know.
we want community input on,
Yes.
what we'd like to see, and then ultimately it's gonna come down to us on what we decide to use to apply for those grants for. But that'll give us kind of a direction to go in. Right?
And our limit's 10 toilets.
And we'll-
Okay. Oh, that's the first thing I think of mine, I was like, just something
Or
right.
eight toilets.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll have good discretion, we still have to make good decision making.
Yeah.
Even if the most votes that gets on the poll is something
Yeah,
silly.
that's what I
We're
was
not
like, are we
obligated.
gonna go with the highest votes, or like, what's that? I didn't understand. Okay.
Okay, so that's passed. So I guess you'll get those applications in for those grants then? Sure.
Good.
Another question, is the comprehensive plan and the master plan the same plan?
That's what I was wondering.
Well, it depends.
So he's talking, so the master plan, what he's talking about, Harrison County, was the community foundation paid for a master plan for each town. County planning and zoning, which I'm president of the board, then we did the comprehensive comprehensive plan for planning and zoning, used the information from those 10 towns. The master plan that we're talking about is specific parts of recreation, what they call 5-year, 6-year plan. And it's separate. Now, a lot of times, they'll take those, so like when we do our master plan, they'll look at what's in our master plan and put it in the comprehensive plan. So your parks plan would be something that if you hire a company to do that, it would incorporate that into, or should incorporate it into your comprehensive plan. Comprehensive plan is a little more in-depth on a lot of stuff, infrastructure, et cetera.
It's comprehensive.
Okay.
And so your comprehensive plan at the end of the day is the collective sum total of what do you see as the plan for land usage within your jurisdiction. Parks and Rec is a part of that. Highways is a part of that. Public buildings is a part of that. Utilities is a part of that. And so each of those can be its own separate section of your comprehensive plan.
Master plan would be like, where do we want our whole
The
county?
master plan that Larry's talking about is, what is the master plan for your parks and recreation section, how many parks you want to have, how much space you're allocating for them, what type of usages do you see for those parks? That's more what the master plan typically that Larry's referring to includes.
So for everything I said, where I said master plan, substitute comprehensive.
Comprehensive, yes. And comprehensive plan may use collection of data from multiple master plans, but you won't have multiple because the parks are probably only one.
Yeah. Let's say a town of our size, yeah, parks is probably realistically the only master plan.
The only reason you need a master plan is that's the only way you can get that land and soil plan.
No need to overcomplicate, but that one gets us money, so that's worth taking that step.
Right.
Okay. Okay, do you guys look at these and make sure that those
Sure.
are right?
Is this same copy of the thing?
No, they're two different things. The things that I have starred, is that, correct? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And yes.
Okay.
And then, oh, okay, that's where the building right there, isn't it? And then the antifreeze is for the water lines or the motors.
Yes, the fuse is for 333.
Yep.
We still have the other one, only one phase went out.
Okay.
So we have the other one on hand. The antifreeze was for the toilets, for the sinks, so they don't freeze.
And then the other stuff was when we put this range thing down here, the plug and the cord we had to get, to make it so. This, so that's.
Verizon still has stuff in it, I guess.
There's still some of those photos.
Yeah.
You have all these?
I can contact them.
Okay.
If you want me to, I just,
That's all we said.
but what I'm explaining is, we asked because we didn't get any equipment,
We
right?
got the equipment shipped to us,
Uh-huh.
it was unopened and sent back.
And sent
Service
back.
was never activated, and everything's done within the time frame.
Okay,
Yeah, so this is as of November 4th.
okay, so I can contact them, and maybe I can get something.
That's right. So,
But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, yeah.
I'll keep running down, every time I talk to them, they say, okay, they're gonna wait, they're gonna do what they're
Yeah.
supposed to do, wait it, and it'll take 10 days, and then there's no follow-up.
so is the town attorney threatening Verizon or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I can.
Here's a, invitation to,
Legislative dinner for me.
and I just thought I'd give that to you guys, if anybody wants to see that. Okay, I think I'm.
Okay, any more?
So I did have another thing on the, AIM,
Yes,
things we voted on to purchase.
and we purchased them, and,
Did you get the email with the links?
yeah, and I sent them.
We got the handbook,
Yeah,
we didn't get the three courses.
I was getting ready to look for my email, but I'm not there.
yeah, and I thought I sent that to the town.
Let me just double check.
Okay.
I got the handbook.
All right.
I didn't know if you had questions.
No.
Good information.
I was gonna ask if you guys had actually got their information about that, because I followed up with AIM as well, and said, hey, I know you guys are working with Hardinsburg, really appreciate you guys working with them, and kind of deals and the other.
We're all very, very.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that they had actually followed up and gotten your training notes.
They did, yes. And is this something that, we would want
this is a professional organization, it's kind of one of those, if you want to be, certainly can be.
Do I acknowledge or?
It can be beneficial, it can be beneficial because you'll be with other clerk treasurers, and so it can be useful knowledge to look, hey, have you ever had this come up in your town, how do you deal with it? It's kind of a legend I would make very, I kind of tell people it's the same as joining, your professional unions or things like that, this is basically your professional union for clerks and treasurers. It's not mandatory that you join it, if you think there's some value in being able to be on their email list and communicate with other clerk treasurers. My experience is you can look up who they are because they're all public officers, most of them are nice enough that they're going to return your phone call anyway. So,
Okay, I was gonna say, there's like a, I think it's their name, but there's like questions
You're gonna get a
and
lot.
answers that.
yeah, you're gonna get a lot of that through your main training anyway, and I think realistically, like I said, it's not the world's worst thing, it's nice for it's certainly nice for networking, it's gonna give you some extra networking opportunities, I don't know if it's mandatory, but certainly not legally mandatory by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay.
So, just kind of, if you wanna do it, if you don't wanna do it, you're missing out on anything.
Okay.
Like we have a number of associations for municipal attorneys and things like that as well, some of those really, most of those, because there's like different out there.
Okay.
So are you looking at the other emails from AIM that are from local?
Like from the different
Random
clerk treasurers and stuff,
Yes.
Yeah, they'll like ask questions and then other clerk treasurers will answer you and give you information.
Nothing's really applied to us that I've seen to be helpful, but it is good to see.
Good to
It's like
see,
they come
yeah.
in like 10 a day.
Yes.
Maybe we're
So
not.
I can help on.
I strongly recommend on those stuff, little in your inbox and have to go to a folder, maybe just check at the end of the day. Because those listservs, some days you get nothing, some days you get 20 emails.
Yeah.
And to your point, yeah, a lot of times, academically, they're interesting, but they don't really apply to anything. But every now and then, you skim through and you find that one, and it's okay, we're about to be with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's good information because you got a lot of them out there that they're asking questions you might not even ever thought of.
Which association is it?
ILMCT?
That one's the Indiana League of Municipal Clerk Treasurers.
Just personally, I would recommend she do that.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why, because they're gonna really focus on
Maybe
it
Yeah.
for about a year, like, when you get all your budget notices, they're gonna train you specifically on budgets. I know you belong to AIM, that'll help you, but that one may be worth it when you're just to get your back on track with budgets and everything.
To do it for the first year, just get
You may not want that the first year, but they're really gonna help you, I think, the first year.
Well, and my thinking of it was, I mean, she doesn't have to do it immediately. It was maybe get through her AIM training first, see how proud she feels in the AIM training, and then kind of have that as the fallback of, yeah. Because I would say every one of those organizations will take your dues money any month of the year.
Oh,
If they like it in January, they'll take it in March.
Yeah.
It's still $82, so.
$82
For the year.
Yeah.
So, like Tom said, I think it would be beneficial. I don't know.
You can motion to.
I'm just gonna make a motion that if AIM training, if you feel like you need this, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that the county will cover the $82 for a year cost to cover this association for the clerk. If she feels like after her initial training that this is something that will benefit her. That's my motion. Does that make sense?
She's discretionarily approved if she believes so.
Well, quite said, I second.
Okay, take it, vote. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, so any other old business or any new business that we need to take care of? You got anything else?
I do not.
Nothing else? Clerk? Cool.
Ashley had asked me about the 1099 for everybody. I just want to make sure that it's on the record. The advice I gave her for that was, of course, she filled out 1099s herself for everybody. We don't have 1099s for paying tax on anybody, but she's got to get them filed and submitted to Department of Revenue. And if she has any problems with that, she can, of course, go to HR Block or any of the other tax firms and do that and submit a request for reimbursement if there's between meetings. And that's pretty routine, and that's not a huge expense. It's electronically filed with the state usually. It's not not super, super hard to figure out, but for the first time you do it, it can be a little bit of a pain in the butt. So that was my advice to her, was take a swing at it yourself, get it involved, go do that, and she can always ask for reimbursement.
So we won't need a motion for that reimbursement to be approved?
I mean, if you wanna go ahead and discretionarily approve that she believes it's necessary, kind of the same as the clerk treasurer's municipal organization. The expense on that, typically, they're just gonna charge her for about an hour of their time, which is usually $100. So if you wanted to preemptively approve that, if she thinks it's necessary, she can get that done by the end of the month. There's nothing inappropriate if you all are willing to approve discretionary expense from the town to cover.
So those are 1099 for our contracted employees?
Correct, yeah, for just for the contractors, and to make sure that that all gets submitted to, Department of Revenue correctly.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Preemptively approve what Coy said?
Preemptively approve our clerk treasurer to have discretionary flexibility to file 1099s
And employ appropriate assistance if she needs it.
in the appropriate time frame, so we don't miss the date.
I'll second that motion. Take the vote on favor, aye?
Question,
Yes.
how would we pay her?
Your attorney hasn't turned in a bill.
Yeah, it's in the bill yet.
Okay.
You'll get that.
Here, hopefully.
Your attorney has considered his service a Hardinsburg public service.
Thank you very much.
Because frankly, I didn't want to even do anything for you guys until we got the budgets of the DLDF straightened out, so that I saw what our budget was going to look like. So I'm not even worried about it right now.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Good, appreciate it.
That is very good. Okay, any other old business? Up here, Boyd, do you have anything else?
Good to go. And my action items to follow, I will get with you guys on because I can on the other things, and I will try to follow up with Posey Township on the fire service.
Okay. Thank you. Oh,
I have a couple of things. We're talking about the grant, and trying to get money from Walmart for different things. You're always grabbing for your phone. Why don't y'all get one of the setups like Rodney uses? That way, if you keep going in and out, or you decide you want to be on board or whatever, you don't have to worry about that. It's always here for whoever's on board.
yeah, and, to that point,
Rhonda, right?
Rhonda, oh, okay.
To that point, so last year in a meeting, we actually did appropriate money and tax that. It's just the end of the year got busy and honestly, we kind of forgot about it. So we are in the process of looking for either a camera or just like a smartphone we can hook to the Wi-Fi and here to use specifically for
That's what it was.
streaming.
Yeah.
Somebody had an old phone they were gonna donate.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
So that's what we're kind of,
a lot of the phones, like the track phones and stuff like that, the prepaids, you don't even have to register.
I think that was actually what you guys even said you were gonna do, was go get like just a
Just get
prepaid
it.
phone or something like
Yeah.
that, just lock it up in the closet and we're done with it.
so we'll probably do that this weekend as well. So we'll go ahead and get something that will stay here and will be just for that purpose.
That's just one thing I was thinking about. The other thing was, you were talking about the fire department and the double dipping. I can tell you for a fact, when we first started coming to the meetings in 2019 with Davis and his crew, the fire department was double dipping. They were getting paid by Posey and they were getting paid by the town board.
Well, and I would say, none of us can speak to anything that's happened back there, appreciate knowing that, because like I said, that was exactly the concern I had with the way that contract was written, was it would have legally put the town on the hook for paying them, and I knew Posey County. I knew Posey Township was collecting the tax and paying them the contractual rate in full, so I wanted to make sure in some way or another, town wasn't getting double taxed, because legally we shouldn't be double taxing them, and that the town wasn't gonna be on the hook for a liability that the fire department was getting paid to do the job for already. So that's why we've got to get that straightened out. But how that looks like, there's about 5 different roads we can get there. It's putting a contract in place that where they acknowledge they're getting paid by Posey Township. It's getting an interlocal agreement with Posey Township where they say, hey, we're indemnifying you. It's getting an interlocal where Posey Township cuts us a check every 6 months or every quarter. So it's just figuring out which avenues we're taking to get there. And then once we do that, then we'll sign the contract with the fire department to make sure they've got what they need for their insurance purposes. Posey's got what it needs to make sure that they either are on the hook for collecting the tax or have something to look at everybody and say, we're not on the hook for collecting this tax anymore. And then we've got what we need to make sure our works are clean.
Yeah, that was one of my gripes back when we first started coming to the meetings, was that I found out that they were getting paid from both. And both was coming from our tax money we were paying into the county. So I didn't ever understand why, other than the fact there was a fire truck down here, that they used that as leverage that you needed to pay us. So they kept going in, and the town board was taking the $4,400, whatever it was at the time, out of their money they had appropriated for whichever fund it was, and paying them like once a year. While Posey was still paying also every year.
And like I said, I mean, I get it from their perspective, like I said, there's a statute that deals with them being able to get what they need from their insurance carrier to get the volunteer firefighters that are covered. That's why the volunteer firefighters are doing it, is to get the life insurance and everything, and I respect that. And I want to make sure those guys are getting what they need. But to your point, it shouldn't be at a double expense to the taxpayers, and it shouldn't be in a way that potentially exposes us to having a breach of contract claim against us. Let's dot all our i's, let's cross all our t's to do it the right way.
Yeah, the other thing I was gonna bring up was you were talking about the road funds and things like that, and the different funds they had set up when they pulled it all together and dumped it into the one account, county. All that, the different, or the separate funds, we knew as the pact, when we first put that together, that we couldn't file anything against the county for the money, that the town board had to do that. So that was one reason why we fought so hard to get the town board put back on in place, so that the town board could then sue the county or whoever they needed to sue to get all the money back and get it back to where it was. But there should be records of all the payees and invoices and everything of the very last, like, 3 meetings that they approved for, like, the lights, the water, the sewer, whatever. Each one of them should have had their own thing, because I know full well that Kathy Jackie had a record of all that, and she kept all the receipts at the time. I just don't remember any of that.
So what I'll do, I've got all the boxes that are in the closet here, which includes, I think, everything that the county gave us back. So my plan is to be going through all of that, as soon as I get through this trial line, and see exactly what you got given back to us. I know, like I said, Heather, who's the attorney who had the litigation up until the very end of it when I came in, she had asked for a lot of that stuff in discovery from the county, and wanted the auditor to give her detailed itemizations of what are you spending that is attributable to Hardinsburg. And my understanding is she never really got satisfactory answers on that throughout the life of the litigation, because to what the point that Larry made earlier, instead of really keeping it properly segregated, they ended up just kind of conglomerating it all in one fund. So that's what I'm going to attempt to untangle over the next couple of months as well, while we're also figuring out what this DLGS stuff is. What do we have receipts for? What do we have invoices for? And what do we still need to go back to? You've obviously spent money. Where's the paper trail?
And I'm sure you've got a copy of the budget that I gave them. The auditor gave you like 13 pages, it has all itemized incoming and outgoing money from the time they took over the town's money to the time they gave it back.
If it's in all that stuff that you gave them, it's sitting in my office in Albany at this point, and in all the boxes I took there.
If you need another copy of it, just let them know it, let me know it, let me know, because I've got 4 more copies at home. I made sure that whenever I got the information, I at least kept extra paper copies of it. Because dealing with, to your point, dealing with Washington County, there's a reason why you all don't deal with them. You go to Harrison County or other counties and do it, because you've seen with them, they're kind of a cluster, they don't know what the hell they're doing. So if you ask a question to an auditor or commissioner or council member, they may know the answer for them, but they won't know the answer for you, because they don't know how the town works compared to how the county works. Trust me, I've been to enough of those meetings to argue with Todd and Phil. Yeah. If they've got the information and they know it, they're not gonna give it to you. The only other question I had was, as far as snow removal, are you all still okay with your budget in case we do get a snowstorm?
We have one more
Service,
service.
as part of our budget was, yeah,
So
so.
make sure you hold on to it until you actually need it. If there's
It's contracted, I think, over,
And he's good, but he checked in like that. When we had that snow, we had he plowed the roads twice. And then we had that little dusting the next day. He checked in and asked, do we think? And I held off because that was nothing and I'm hoping.
yeah, if it's something like ankle height, that's not a big deal. If it's something knee high or close to it, then yeah, that's gonna be an issue, because once the road gets covered, the back roads,
Yeah, yeah.
there's just no clearing.
Hoping this weekend is good to us.
Hopefully it stays south.
Yeah.
I just wish I'm not reading things.
South and you too.
Yeah, south of you too. so-
South and north is what it looks like so far, so.
I know everyone's name here, but.
For the
before-
record,
Yeah, before we say our public comment, just say your name, because then if someone comes in and I don't know them, it feels like I'm calling them out.
Yeah.
And I just want it just to be, that's how it is, but David Tootsie, I know that.
So,
Coley, okay.
Let's go.
we got you.
The only other thing I've got is, if, like I told Wayne on the phone, if anybody has an issue with the street light, especially like out here over the intersections, and you can't get anybody to answer anything, let me know. I'll go on the website, click the thing, write up the report, and I'll have it fixed in like 2-3 days.
The Duke outage report.
Yeah,
And then
Yeah, I've had to do
fix
it.
in the streetlights. So. I don't know about that, whatever.
I've had to do it at the one, at Wright Street, 150, like 5 times in the last 4 years.
Sweet, okay.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I'll go. So my name is Lucy Brenton, and I just want to say how excited I am to see things moving in a positive direction here. I'm on the county level. I'm in the Washington County Planning Commission. We had some interesting things going on with the comprehensive plan last year. Man, I don't know who they paid to help write that, but those people sucked. So I'm excited about working with you, for example, on the grants and making sure that we get as much money as we can into this town and have some exciting things for the little kiddies to do.
That sounds great. And thank you for that.
Appreciate it.
I think it was pretty
Well, you done?
university.
Are we done?
Anything else, Lucy?
Did you have anything else?
No, good, go ahead.
We were mentioning roads, and that, did you ever hear anything on your estimates for the stuff coming down by Riley's?
No, not yet. I'm working on it. We're getting close. I'm gonna reach out to a couple of contractors that do asphalt.
And what was your name again?
Denise Straver. And, you were talking about lights, the one on Maple Street and, over there across from 150, like, that lights out.
Yeah.
Just let you know.
Ask and you shall receive.
That's good. That's already done.
Yeah, exactly, satisfying.
You gotta make a note of it, because I'll forget by the time I go home.
And also.
And you had asked about, the pothole by Riley's, is that what you're talking about, with that low grade?
It's not just the grade, it's the culvert.
I did talk to the county, and they came out and looked at it, NDOT came out and looked at it too, and it's hard to deal with, so.
Kind of like my son, all the roads will go where to go where.
Yeah.
That's where we can apply for that community crossings, can take care of things like that.
Yeah, it won't take like repair stuff, it'll do complete repay,
Oh, okay.
that kind of stuff.
This is just a patch.
We'll just repave that part of the whole road.
You could, yeah, so you can replace a whole section of the road with crossings.
Would it not work if you filled that hole?
Well, it's got, so that's where our drainage comes in, as far as our stormwater drainage, because there's a grate there, but when they redid the road, well, they've done something in the past, and it's been years ago,
You
but.
could tear up that road all the way to the stop sign? Could you do that? And repave
That
that
could potentially be a use.
Yeah, from the highway all the
road?
way
And
to
make the
this
ditch
board's
better,
stop.
and then make that
So-
would be, because that is awful. I get it every time.
Whenever you do any type of significant road work like that, yes, as part of that, they can deal with regrading of the ditches and things like that, because obviously you don't want to repave the road and have that cause the
Yeah.
drainage issue, it's just gonna screw everything up.
Okay.
So they can factor that in, obviously you just gotta make sure what the overall of that is, and how much your grant money is and all that kind of stuff, so.
Okay.
We can ask NDOT to, take a look at that intersection. Maybe redo the intersection, make it wider, because it is a challenge to turn onto that street if somebody's waiting to turn out.
So
So,
the street, so the street may be us, but then the dots.
the NDOT's redoing Radcliffe Road by the general store in 150. That intersection's being entirely redone, probably by the end of the year, they'll have it redone.
I think on the movie.
Because it butts up to 150, or.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this one down here hits 152, that's
Oh, yeah,
where we're
good point.
talking, so maybe we can look looking at.
As far as the drainage goes, if you all do any drainage work, no matter which road it is, you have to contact DNR. Because it was one of the major issues why nothing ever got fixed on Davis's side going down towards the hardware store, was because DNR was refusing every request or whatever they put in. And Davis wanted to start at the very end down at 66 and work his way back toward his house. And they didn't want him to do that because it's a tributary to Blue River. So anytime you mess with any of the drainage over here that may go to Sinking Creek,
Sinking Creek, yeah.
then it's gonna be an issue.
And these, there's another issue y'all were talking about, the water drainage. That one over here by the church. Whenever I moved in, I got pictures of my flood goes through there and goes across, Hannah Street onto, Maple, it goes, to where the and Mike's lives, it's a little storefront. And it's a river that goes through there.
Yeah.
That is originally, in between my property and Thomas's, is about a 5-foot section that was a watershed. But I'm not saying he did it, but whoever had the property that Thomas's got, years before I ever got here, has had raised. It's all flat, and it comes down, it's also from the church, on the shed from the church, it's got the pavement. It all goes this way, towards the road, and it's supposed to go down towards that drain here. So I don't know how they can correct that, because it's, when you come down through from 150 down Maple Street, a lot of times, I don't know if y'all ever drove through there, I get my canoe out riding.
Well, I think, the major issue is the fact that most of the stormwater drainage through Hardinsburg doesn't do anything. And that was back when the old board was in place, that was an issue that was brought up to them back then about having that inspection done and having those repaired. And I believe they had it inspected by a contractor, but as far as cleaning out and getting it actually working again, I don't know that it ever went any further than that, but that was something that we'll have to look into. And as far as if there's grants available for those types of repairs or replacements, that's something I'd look at, because as you've heard, our budget's not great and the money coming in, so a major project like that is something that we're gonna have to put some work into, even making it a possibility, so it's not gonna get fixed by summer or rainy season here in spring, but it's something that we'll definitely look into and see what options we have available for that, so.
The only other option.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lisa, I didn't mean to interrupt.
They had a collapse down here on the corner towards, Cheshire and, I don't know, Hardinsburg.
Sinking Creek? Sorry,
On the
Sinking
other
Creek?
side, it's on this side.
Hardinsburg Elementary Room?
It's, yeah, no. I could say it, I know it in my mind, but I don't know the name of this, no. The road that runs where the Quonset hut is, you know. There's like roosters and the Quonset hut. There was, when you come up this way, there was a whole area that had collapsed. They had to dig that out and reconstruct that.
And the ditch line, and the ditch line up there, is that what you're talking about? Or in the
It
road?
was actually in the road.
Where the storage facility is, in front of the storage facility?
It's on this side of it. By
So-
that gray trailer.
Like right out here?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
But, you have had that orange grate cleaned out, and you can't even tell it's there again.
I know, I go by there periodically and clean it when I can. It
I
is,
don't know what to do about that.
it's a poor design, it's a real poor design and a poor location. I'm just gonna have to keep cleaning it until we get a study done and have it done properly. The same thing with those grates that are in the middle of the road, it's like a pothole, that's just a mistake when they repave the road without correcting the grate. That's why, I mean, all those things have to be redone, and I think it would be a bigger project, and that's why when we get the comprehensive plan, that leads to the other projects where we can do the studies and get things done, you know? But if there's immediate things,
They're on the table, some of the, projected project.
Yeah, and that was probably something when roads got paved and the road work got done that was not contracted or written in the contract for expense, was raising all those manholes, putting extensions on them, getting them lifted up to the same grade as your pavement. And if you're not paying a contractor to do that, he's not gonna do it. So that's something that should have been addressed back when those roads were redone. It wasn't addressed, so now we need to go back through and have that pavement cut out and those lifted and repaved and.
So I was thinking about council prevention of county church. What I was gonna throw out there too, I mean, like I said, these are the types of really big municipal projects, they're time consuming, they're heavy investment. And obviously, I mean, it's probably not stuff that you guys are gonna fix immediately. This is frankly, this is probably stuff that's 2027, 2028 projects at the earliest. And with us having to deal with DLGF, get the budget fixed and everything like that, certainly to the extent we can get some grant money coming in this year to help out with anything that's immediate need, let's do it. For thinking about for long term, especially if you guys are gonna be the board after 2027's elections, at that point, when we've got a better sense of what the budget looks like on a more long-term basis, we can start also considering whether or not bonds are something to think about. I'm not saying it's the way you wanna go, but I think you can at least start thinking about, do you wanna consider taking out some small municipal bonds to pay for a bigger capital project like that? I like that your heads are at, let's stay within our means, and let's see what free money we can get, that's obviously great, but the reality is, like you said, a big stormwater project like that, if it's what's got to be done at the end of the day, if the study comes back and says, look, we gotta do this, and it's gonna cost you significant money, sooner or later, we're gonna have to bite the bullet, because kicking the can down the road is just kicking the can down the road. So food for thought for you of not a today decision by any stretch of the imagination, but something over the next year or two to think about.
we do want people to bring these to our attention immediately, though, if their property is being impacted. If you get a flood so severe that it's getting into your house and doing damage, don't wait, let us know as soon as you can. Because like you say, it's hard to imagine 2 feet of water anywhere in this town, but it happens. So until you see it, it's hard to imagine.
I got pictures on my phone, to see that.
I got a video.
And once we get like drainage studies and stuff done, and then, you know, hopefully get those things fixed. That watershed, I mean, it may not fix your watershed issue on your private property, I mean, your grade and things like that, and where that shed's coming from another property. It may not take care of all those issues, but that, you know, that's a grading issue on the property, and how it lays, you know, so it might not be something.
Raise my yards and we kind of push it to where it's supposed to go.
Yeah,
It's an option.
because we deal with that on our property, I had a shedding issue that every time it rained, my garage flooded out. I'd have to pull everything out of my garage and squeeze the floor out, all the rainwater out, so I had to dig around and put in like a French drain hole around my garage to bring it back out to my, front of my property to keep it from flooding like that, but it has nothing to do with town's drainage, it's just the way my property lays, you know, so.
Well, and the way some municipalities deal with that, and again, this is much more of a long-term discussion, but it's good that we're getting it out there. Some towns adopt comprehensive watershed plans or comprehensive drainage plans. And at that point in time, then you can say, hey, this doesn't apply to your existing elevation on your property, but if you want to make a grade change going forward, it would apply at that point in time, and then you could potentially prohibit a property owner from making a grade change, or say that they have to approve it through the town's, if you want to create a water board, if you want to create a drainage board or something like that. So there's mechanisms where towns can put those protections in place and say, instead of this just being private property owners, because right now, without the town having ordinances like that, your remedy for stuff like that is private lawsuits between property owners and taking it to court and let the judge decide that stuff. Let me tell you, having litigated one of those before, they're a lot of fun. But it is something that if the town wants to get into that, the town can, and then but that's always a balance, and then you're growing government, and you're then making the decisions for people a little bit more. Is that the direction you guys want to go for the town? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. That's something for everybody to think about. Do you want to have the town making those types of ordinances and put those types of rules in place? Or do you want to say, we're not gonna grow the town, but the risk is then your neighbor may at their elevation have all the water flowing off into your front yard and your living room. So,
That would basically, we would just have power, basically, someone couldn't do a drastic grade change on their property, it's gonna affect their.
yeah, so you guys could theoretically develop a comprehensive drainage plan and say, hey, if they're gonna do that, it has to come through you guys, and if somebody makes you aware of it, then you can issue stop work orders at that point in time, any contractors that are doing work like that, and be able to hit stuff like that. It's just, again, from the town government perspective, we have to do all the legwork to pass that type of a comprehensive zoning ordinance, that kind of comprehensive drainage ordinance, to be able to have it enforceable. Because until we do, certainly we can be very sympathetic to the property owner in town, but we just don't have the legal authority to do much about it. Your legal option is sue your neighbor for nuisance and things like that.
Yeah, but it was.
And nobody wants to do that, of course, because then you're suing the neighbor.
That was like that long before I even lived here.
Right.
It just, I understand a lot of it is because there's so much asphalt and the church's roof says, where's it gonna go? And I've got those down here from there and it actually goes.
Well, and again, not to give anybody too much leeway, but I mean, your enjoyment of your property, it's kind of the old saying, if I got the right to swing my arm right until your nose gets in range. So, when the church builds property, or you build property, or the general store builds property, they're right to have their roof slope how they want it, and everything ends at the point where it does cause a problem, an issue for their neighbors. So, like I said, the town can look into it, but it's not a decision we can make tonight by any stretch. But we can have that conversation before, do we want to develop a long-term zoning plan? Do we want to build a long-term drainage plan? I think it's something that it's worth having a discussion. It's just, you need to put a lot of thought on that, because again, the flip side of that is you're growing government, you're putting more hours on yourselves or whoever volunteers for that. And do you have the time, do you have the energy? At the end of the day, the property owners want you guys being involved in that, because it's really interesting, and sometimes you have to pay the buck.
And a lot of that may not have anything to do with, as far as putting ordinances in. You get the drainage assessment done, and they may tell you that they fix the drainage behind their house, the water will never go through that area, it'll go around the
Exactly.
street.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Once we get the actual drainage. and
Exactly,
everything,
it all starts with those assessments, and those assessments may tell you if it's one property in county jurisdiction, or it may tell you you need a comprehensive plan, because it's all, it's different.
I did have a question about the community crossing grant. If you all don't have your appropriations for all the different categories, for like the roads and parks and everything, set up, how can you apply for that? Because
We
I
have
know
ours,
it's-
so we have our different funds set up. It was the county that took all the money and did not break it up. So as far as our budgets go, we have all our different funds and like item lines set up for our funds and our crews.
I'm just curious, because I know back when Davis knew that it was a matching grant for community crossings, and you had to have so much in your like, highway fund in order to get the grant, and then you had to have so much on the matching to do anything with it. Because if you got $5,000, it's a 3-to-1 grant, what are you gonna do with 15 grand?
Yeah, and
You can pay a road.
you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there are avenues you can go down where if we have 25,000 set in the fund that we're not using it for, office supplies.
You can reappropriate.
There, yeah, we can reappropriate that to the new.
Yeah, that's a reappropriation method, and usually there's also, community crossing can always also appeal some things that sometimes ask for exceptional circumstances, releases and things like that. But 99% of the time, you're right, it's we got to have a fund, we have money, matching money in the fund. And then we just got to figure out on our end, how do we get our end of it.
I was just under the misconception that you all were gonna have a separate fund set up until you actually budget for the year and figured out all that stuff at the state level.
No, that's where I was asking, are we gonna get recommended by state because they gave that money back and it all went into a general fund for us because they didn't keep anything separate. So that's why I was kind of touching base on, are we looking at it, and not penalty or anything, but that would fall back on the county for not doing that when they have control.
That's part of the reason why I was clarifying, because you got it on video and I hadn't seen it.
Appreciate that.
Anybody got anything else?
I make a motion to adjourn. Can I have?
Ask for a motion
I thought maybe it was only going to be for maybe exception.
As long as we're not snowed in.
Oh, your plans out on the.
Do it for you.
Oh, for that your house right there? You live right there?
He's already looking at it.
I know we got that list of
Oh, okay, so you're the one with the mission. Okay, okay.
Did you say Friday or Saturday? Yeah, that is, because she's got a calendar. And then.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll, I'll shoot you a text. So Friday evening,